Intel invests $20 billion into an Ohio chipmaking complex. Google has a new plan for replacing cookies, how to stop writing like a robot, and 100 questions to help you understand your customers' pain. All this and more in this week's Fishbowl Friday. Welcome to Fishbowl Friday, where we've gathered this week's best marketing news and compiled it down to this quick 5-minute bite-sized video just for you. To access the full version of this week's stories, go to fishbowlfriday.com, and while you're there, don't forget to subscribe and receive our weekly marketing newsletter straight to your inbox. Let's get to it. In our first story, Intel says it'll spend at least $20 billion on a chip-making complex in Ohio. In the past, Intel would design the chips and outsource the manufacturing overseas. The pandemic's impact on chip supply has Intel making some big changes to the tune of $20 billion. In the largest private sector investment in Ohio history, Intel will be building 2 chip manufacturing facilities near Columbus, Ohio. If all goes as planned, this could turn into an 8-facility complex with a price tag over $100 billion. Our take on this: the chip shortage has brought some industries to a screeching halt and left a lot of U.S. companies rethinking their outsourcing strategies. Thank you, Intel, for taking this issue head on and choosing to invest in the great state of Ohio. In our next story, how to sound like a human in your copy and sell more. Customers don't want to be force-fed your fancy sales pitch peppered with 4-syllable words and unnecessary fluff that only a college English professor would be proud of. Step away from the thesaurus and start writing like a human might actually think. Make them feel something before you start feeding them all the boring stuff. Here's a couple tips to help you accomplish this. Focus on the steps your customers take when buying your product or service. Understand you are not the hero, the customer is. Stop making all of your copy and content about you. Interview customers and listen to what they have to say. They will tell you what's important to them. And great content both informs and entertains. Focus on both. Our take on this: it is possible to be relatable and still appear professional. Focus your content creation on your customers' emotions and realize that you're probably not your ideal customer, so stop creating content that appeals to you. In our next story, Google Flock is being replaced by Topics. Facing pushback from nearly every angle, Google's first attempt at advertising in a cookieless world called Flock is officially dead. The latest proposal is an idea called Topics API. Google will figure out which topics you're interested in based on your past 3 weeks' browsing history to determine which ads you should see. Your browsing history will be housed locally in Chrome and only send the topics you're interested in to Google. Anything older than 3 weeks will be deleted. Our take on this: on the surface, we think this is a much better approach than Flock was. There's a long way to go before the proposed Topics API is declared the official replacement for cookies. Let's see how the advertising community and regulators react to this one. In our next story, 100 sales probing questions to truly understand your prospect's pain. You can simply come out and ask someone, "What's your biggest pain point?" and be done with it. But are you really getting to the root of the problem? Don't assume the customer completely understands everything about the pain they're experiencing. Sure, they might have a general idea, but digging in just a little more can help you learn a lot more about your prospect and open their eyes to the benefits you can present overcoming their pain. This article from HubSpot lists over 100 probing questions you can use to gently guide the conversation and unearth the prospect's core needs. Our take on this: the more you understand your prospect's pain, the better you can present the value you provide. Selling is not telling. It starts with asking great questions, truly listening to their answer, and then aligning the answers with your strengths. Our next story: confused about which size your social media images should be? You're not alone. Thankfully, Hootsuite created this social media image guide for 2022. This is a page you're going to want to bookmark so it's easily accessible when you're setting up your future social posts. Next up, everyone hates the term new normal, but there's no denying things are never going to be the same. When the world shut down, the only place that remained open was social media, and while the majority of people have resumed some resemblance of their pre-pandemic lives, there are some things that are here to stay. This article from HubSpot outlines 6 quarantine trends that are here to stay. They include more time spent on social media platforms, higher consumption of video, new best times to post, fun, lighthearted content is now preferred, and influencers gained a lot of traction in the marketing world. And finally, in shocking news, Krispy Kreme will give you a free dozen donuts for donating blood. Yes, you heard that correct. In response to the Red Cross's national blood crisis, Krispy Kreme will give a dozen donuts to anyone who donates blood or platelets this week. That sugar buzz should be a little bit intense running a pint low on blood. That's all the marketing news we have for you this week. Don't forget to subscribe to receive all this marketing goodness straight to your inbox and access the full version of these stories and more at fishbowlfriday.com.